South Africa against Wales at Twickenham. The teams are out. Warren Gatland and Rassie Erasmus going early, as they often do. So that's what I'm going to get into in the video. Comment down below. What do you make of it? From a Springbok perspective, from a Wales perspective, or if you're just a neutral observer, what do you make of these matchday 23s, which on paper, there is a huge disparity in terms of experience and quality. But I'll get into all of that. If you are new here as well, like the video. And if you haven't subscribed already, I would love it if you hit that subscribe button. But as I say, there is a massive disparity between these two teams on paper. And actually, they're two sides who have a lot of injuries and are missing players. Wales have a big injury list, and the Springboks don't have any players from the Bulls, who had the URC final, and also have some pretty key players that are injured themselves. But despite that, what I think the team selections reveal is the different levels of strength in depth between South Africa and Wales, in that I think South Africa are able to absorb those losses, and some of them quite significant, and still select a really exciting and really strong 23. Whereas for Wales, and I'll get onto their team, there are a lot of question marks across that whole matchday 23, which further reveal, I think, the rebuilding job that Warren Gatland has on his hands and where that Wales team currently is. But as I say, we'll get on to Wales. Technically, South Africa are the home team at Twickenham, so we will begin with them. 4 debuts in their 23, this is. Edwill van der Merwe and Jordan Hendrikse. I'll come on to him at fly half. That's a really interesting selection. And then Ben Jason Dixon and Sasha Feinberg Ngonzulu on the bench. With South Africa, are they stronger than you expected? I did a video the other day on the channel, or the other week, about the 23 I would select for the Wales test, and I probably had a little bit more rotation and experimentation in there. It was always going to be a question mark with how they approach this test match with that Ireland series to come. But actually, I think Rassie Erasmus has gone pretty strong here, which for the most part, I think is the fact that they're playing Ireland in a 2-test series. I think he wants to get as many combinations and his experienced first names on the team sheet or starting 15 into the team so that they are fit and firing, prepped and ready to go before facing Ireland, which is a mouth-watering series. I also just wondered, does he want to make a statement? Does he want to go to Twickenham and absolutely hammer Wales? Because looking ahead to that series, during the Six Nations, we had a lot of commentators and pundits in the Northern Hemisphere saying that Ireland are the best team in the world at the moment, despite the fact that just a few months earlier, it was South Africa that won the World Cup. We had Emma Etzebeth on the Rugby Pod chatting about some of the Ireland players after that pool stage game, sort of saying things like they'd see them in the final, or I don't know if things have been taken out of context, but the suggestion that the Ireland players expected to get to the final were a little bit complacent. There's all sorts of needle and narrative around these two teams, and I just wonder whether Erasmus and the Boks wanted to go and make a statement. Maybe not. I think it's probably more due to the fact that they just want to be as prepared as possible. But I just wondered, you know what Rassie's like? Loves playing the mind games, is very good at it. And I wonder whether they wanted to go and have a big, big win. But anyway, I think the headline from the Springboks team, the thing that will surprise the most people, is at fly half. We were thinking, is it going to be Manie Libbok? Is it going to be Siya Masuku? We knew that Pollard wouldn't be selected for this game. Most people, I think, thought it was between those two players for who started at 10. And then classic Erasmus, no, it's Jordan Hendrikse. Which leads us on to the question of why. Because you can say what you want about the Springboks and about, for example, the 7-1 split and all the conversations that created. They have always selected the team that they think is best placed to go and win the game. Even when it comes to naming a 7-1 bench for a World Cup final, they believe that is the best selection for that game. So why is Jordan Hendrikse the best selection for this game? Well, first of all, he can play 12. And the reason I mention that is because I think he's been pretty good at 12. I think he's a strong ball carrier as well as having the distribution of a fly half. He's better defensively and he's just a bit more robust, in particular when you compare him to Libbok and Masuku. Like, his defence definitely is better. And when I look at all those characteristics, do you think that those South African coaches look at him, and he's only 22, and think he's potentially a better option to take over from Pollard when Pollard eventually does retire, just in that he's a bit bigger, definitely better defensively. The fact that he can carry like a 12 at times. Maybe he slots into that 10 jersey and can do the job of Pollard in a better way, whereas with Libok it changes your game plan, makes it a great game plan, and he's been brilliant at times. Masuku's maybe similar, but maybe Hendrikse is closer to the Pollard mould, and that's why they like him. I'll be interested in the Springbok fans' perspective on that. Overall, it's a really strong South African team. The forward pack is virtually as strong as they're able to select for this game. There's a bit more rotation in the back line, but again, you've still got Esterhuizen, Kriel, Mapimpi, Faf de Klerk. You know, it is a team, I think, that for the most part is setting them up on a platform before taking on Ireland, Six Nations champions, etc., etc. I'm really excited, by the way, to see how Edwill van der Merwe goes. I think he has deserved that call-up. Afilele Fassi, I know, has been capped. Got first capped quite a few years ago, but he gets another opportunity with no Willie Leroux in this team, with no Damian Willemse at 15. I think it's a pretty intriguing team from the box, and a strong team as well. They will be heavy, heavy favourites against Wales, understandably so. And then we've got a nice mix of experience and inexperience, newer guys on the bench as well. So that's where South Africa are. Yes, they've got injuries. Yes, they're missing players, but they have such strength in depth. They are the envy of probably every other country in the world, frankly. Certainly the envy of Wales, because I talk about their injuries. This is just the second row, just to give you an example. They're missing Daffyd Jenkins, Corey Hill, Chris Chunza, Will Rowlands, Adam Beard, Teddy Williams and Seb Davies. They are all unavailable, so it's Carter and Screech that start in the second row. And just to really emphasise the point, this is something that Russ Petty on Twitter, the statistician, has pointed out. It's been mentioned in a lot of the articles previewing this game that I've read this morning. Eben Etzebeth has more caps alone than the entire starting Welsh pack, which I think is a pretty revealing statistic for this disparity in experience between these two sides. Elsewhere as well, there just seems to be a bit of chaos, I feel, around this Wales team, in that James Ratty is the replacement lock, who often has been thought of as more of a back row. He only joined the squad on Tuesday. James Botham starts on the flank and only joined the team on Monday. There are all these selections and issues that I think reveal the huge challenge that Warren Gatland is faced with at the moment as they try and build depth and experience. But it just always feels like there are players dropping out the squad. Because it's out of a test window, they're not able to select certain players. It is not easy at the moment at all. And another big part of that is the loss of Jack Morgan, who was sensational for Wales in the World Cup. Looked to seamlessly fit in at captain, was probably their best player, and they've been missing him since. Didn't feature in the Six Nations because of injury, and he misses out on the summer tour now because he's picked up a hamstring injury. I feel gutted for him because you felt like in this new era, Gatland's second stint as Wales coach, he had found kind of the next Sam Underhill in a way, not in terms of them being exactly the same player, but that young guy that is going to captain the team and move them forward into a new era. But he is a huge loss for them. In the back line, I think probably the most interesting selection from my point of view is Mason Grady at 12. We've seen him on the wing, we've seen him at outside centre, but he shifts to inside centre, which you would imagine is a direct response to the physicality and the physical challenge that the Springboks are going to pose. It's almost reverting to the kind of Jamie Roberts era of Wales, isn't it? That big ball-carrying number 12, crash ball, gets you over the gain line and sets up your attack and is a great physical presence as well from a defensive point of view. So I think that's probably why he's been selected. But overall, you look at this Wales team and there are some exciting young players there. There are guys that I really hope kick on and develop into seasoned frontline international players. But there's just so many question marks about it at the moment. And it is a reflection of where Wales are. And I think at the moment it is about building depth and experience rather than looking at this match and saying, how can Wales get the victory? What's the best selection for them to be able to get the win here? I think most people will be looking at it and saying it's about depth and experience and it's about a performance over the result, which is probably the brutal reality of where Wales are at the moment. Is that unfair, or would most of you agree? A lot of question marks over that team. And I think actually the reason, particularly for this test match, is they'll view those matches against the Wallabies as being more winnable because there's a lot more questions about Australia at the moment, whereas South Africa, the defending world champions, and a team packed full of quality, is a tall order for this Wales team to come up against, I think. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to be at Twickenham. I think, it's always great going to internationals. I love going to games at Twickenham. There'll be a healthy South African presence there because of so many South Africans living in London. Hopefully a lot of the Welsh fans making the trip along the M4 as well. So hopefully a great occasion. Are we going to see an incredibly one-sided game though? We expected that when Wales faced England at Twickenham in the Six Nations. Now, this South African team, I know, before any of you put it in the comments, are far stronger than where England were at that time and where England are now. But it was a closer game than many expected. And Warren Gatland Wales teams over the years have always been able to be more than the sum of their parts in the way. Being the underdogs and overturning the odds. Is this Wales team able to make this more competitive than many people will expect? Maybe. I think it's an incredibly tall order, as I say. So let me know what you make of it. The Boks team, the Wales team, the question marks, the things you're excited about. Put it in the comments section. Make sure you like the video and make sure you're subscribed to the channel as well. I'll see you in the next one.